Alrighty. All right. So I'll flip right open to it. The doctor's opinion. And the doctor is William D. Silkworth. William Duncan Silkworth. He was a physician at Towns Hospital in New York who played a major role in the early development of Alcoholics Anonymous. So, um, this is the doctor's opinion that explains AA's theory or perspective or explanation of alcoholism. We of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested in the medical estimate of the plan of recovery described in this book. Convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with the sufferings of our members and have witnessed our return to health. A well known doctor, chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital specializing in alcohol and drug addiction, gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter. Okay, so this is a letter from Dr. William D. Silkworth. All right, all right. To whom it may concern, I have specialized in the treatment of alcoholism for many years. In late 1934, I attended a patient who, though he had been a competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of the type I had come to regard as hopeless. Bill Wilson. Okay. In the course of his third treatment, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others. This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. This man and over 100 others appear to have recovered. Recovered. So if we look at how alcoholism and addiction was treated in the early 1900s, this time, it was not considered like prestigious for a doctor to focus on this. It was like they're morally corrupt, they have no willpower, they have no self-will. Um, they're lost, they're hopeless, those people. There's nothing you can do for them. If they're an alcoholic or you know, an addict, opium or whatever was pumping at the time. But it was not like it is today, where there are like really kind of famous people that focus specifically on addiction. There weren't these beautiful $50,000 a month treatment centers. There, insurance companies paying out the wazoo for luxury treatment. This stuff wasn't happening. I mean, I'm sure to some degree it existed somewhere, but it's not like it was today. It was like if you're an alcoholic, you're hopeless. And doctors kind of were just like, hey man, you know, get into church or something. Like go to church or put yourself in a psych ward if you can't stop drinking. There's nothing we can really do for you other than to remove you from society. Okay, so this is the doctor saying, in the course of Bill's third treatment, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others. So Bill brought his message to people, and he's saying, and you got to do this too. You got to go help somebody else as well once you're on track. This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. This man and over 100 others appear to have recovered. I personally know scores of cases who were of the type with whom other methods had failed completely. These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance because of the extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group. They may mark a new epoch in the annals of alcoholism. These men may well have a remedy for thousands of such situations. You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. Very truly yours, William D. Silkworth, MD. And in the first edition, he didn't put his name to it. He didn't he did it kind of like an anonymous contribution. I'm a doctor, but I'm not going to tell you who I am, where I am, right? So he didn't, you know, endorse publicly by putting his name on it. Um, and later, obviously, it's his name is associated with it because he was correct, and AA worked based on these ideas that were developed. So Dr. Silkworth is saying that, and Dr. Silkworth, he's best known for treating Bill Wilson before Bill got sober in 1934. Hmm. Excuse me. At a time when alcoholism was widely viewed as a moral failing or lack of willpower, Silkworth described alcoholism as an illness involving a physical allergy to alcohol and a mental obsession. Okay, so Silkworth had this, soft spot in his heart for these alcoholics who everyone else was kind of just like they're hopeless. I can't waste my time on these guys anymore. You work with them for weeks and then they're drunk before they get home when they leave the hospital. Like it's just a waste of time. So Silkworth kept trying with these guys and noticed patterns and certain characteristics that were consistent with everybody, so he came up with this, he developed this concept of that it's an illness, it's an allergy and an obsession, physical and mental. Okay. And he shared that information with Bill at Bill's third time at the hospital. And then Bill was like, huh, and started carrying that idea, built upon that idea. Okay. So the 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 physician who at our request gave us this letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. In this statement, he confirms what we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe, that the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. Okay. So, like it said, you know, alcoholism was widely viewed as moral failing or lack of willpower. That's like mental, right? So what Silkworth is saying is like, no, it's a body and mind condition. It's something going on in the physical body as well. So that, you know, meets criteria as illness, system failure. Something's failing in the system. So in this statement, he confirms what we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe, that the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight from reality, or were outright mental defectives. These things were true to some extent, in fact, to a considerable extent with some of us, but we are sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete. So, mentally, sure, sure, I'm fucked up in a bunch of ways. I'll give you that. But to say there's actually a physical reaction to alcohol that is different from other people, just like my example before with the diabetic, my body's reaction to sugar and the way that it deals with sugar is different from other people. So, and it can be measured and tested and repeated, right? And so it seems, and if you look back on your own drinking and you think about it, if you are an alcoholic, you will be able to identify times. You'll be able to identify, yeah, I did react differently. My body, everything, reacted differently to alcohol. I'd see other people like have a few drinks and go, oh no, I'm good. And it was like after the first, second, third drink, I was ready to go. It fueled me. It didn't make me sleepy. It didn't depress me. It actually excited me. So I had a different reaction to alcohol. We are sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete. The doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. So, allergy is an abnormal reaction to an otherwise normal food or substance. I think that might actually be the literal definition. Um, an abnormal reaction to an otherwise harmless or normal food or substance. Like peanuts, right? My throat swells up and I need an EpiPen. That's an abnormal reaction to an otherwise normal thing. If bleach, like we're all going to get fucked up if we drink bleach because it's not a food, it's not like a regular thing that should be ingested. Okay. Pollen. Some people can breathe in pollen all day long, doesn't bother them at all. Other people walk outside and they're fucked up. So, whatever, hay fever, all that stuff. Freshly cut grass. My neighbor, Bob, when I was a kid, would cut his grass like twice a week or some nutty shit and wear like a doctor's mask. So, like, for years as a young kid, I was like, why is it? He was Dr. Bob. Now that I think about it. Okay, but my neighbor's name was Bob, and I thought he was a doctor because he was wearing one of those masks, surgical masks. And finally, I asked him, I said, why do you wear that? And he said, I'm allergic to the freshly cut grass. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. I love freshly cut. I love it. It smells delicious. And most people would agree, unless you have an allergy to it. Okay, so anyway, the doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. As laymen, our opinion as to its soundness may, of course, mean little, but as ex problem drinkers, we can say that this explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account. Why, when I take a drink, do I want nothing other than to keep drinking? Like one beer at dinner would be torture. I'd rather just not. Like once I start drinking, I get this like I get a craving. Okay, so I'm probably jumping the gun a little bit here. So the allergy and the cool part about AA is the cool part about this book is it says the doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. Very open-ended, kind of non-committal, not saying this is the law and you must believe it. It's like it's saying it's very interesting. As laymen, so saying we're not doctors, we're not scientists, we're not chemists, we're not biologists. It's saying as laymen, our opinion as to its soundness may, of course, mean little. So we'll give you that too. If you want to poo-poo our idea, we get it. You know, I'm a damn librarian. I'm not talking. I can't speak to how sound this theory is. I'm not a doctor. He's not a doctor. Okay, so of course it may mean little. All right, so we'll give you that if you want to poo-poo. But as ex problem drinkers, so as people who have lived this, we can say that his explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account. So for years, people just go, "What the fuck is wrong with you? I don't know. Why can't you just put it down? I don't know, man. I wish I could tell you. Why, in spite of all the problems you've had, do you continue to pick up a drink? You know, I wish I could explain it. So what they're saying is this allergy thing kind of gives It explains it a little bit. If shit I couldn't put into words for years. Okay. Though we work out our solution on the spiritual as well as an altruistic plane, we favor hospitalization for the alcoholic who is very jittery or befogged. DTs, alcohol withdrawal, go to detox, go to the hospital. You know, I had a seizure in a Bell's outlet store in like Bradenton, Florida. Um, kind of came to in an ambulance. I had peed myself. Not awesome. Okay. And then sat in the hospital for hours or whatever. And the doctor that finally came in to see me, he wrote me a script for like some kind of generic weak Xanax and AA. He gave me an AA meeting list. He said, get this prescription filled. Don't drink on these pills. Take these pills as prescribed over the next 5 days or whatever. And here's a meeting list. So I remember it was like Manatee County AA and whatever, AA something. And I was like, well, it makes sense, I guess. That should be, but I didn't get the prescription filled. Um, I told my friend to, when he picked me up from the hospital, to drive me to the liquor store. And he was like, bro, what? And I was like, dude, that's what I got to do right now. Like there's no pharmacy open. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I mean, I'm like this, like just, you know, bring me to the liquor store, you know. And there was like a 24-hour or whatever all night thing, thank you, Florida. And we went there out of the way, and I got a little bottle. And it wasn't long after that I went to treatment, but it wasn't the next day. I'll tell you. Okay, so that's what it's saying. Though we work out our solution on the spiritual as well as altruistic plane, and if you're new, if you've never read this before, you're reading, what the hell? What does that mean, huh? It's like, well, just table that for a second. Keep reading, whatever. We'll figure that shit out later. Spiritual, altruistic. What does that even mean? I don't even. Well, don't worry about it. Just we're talking about an allergy. Okay. So as we favor hospitalization for the alcoholic who is very jittery or befogged. So don't try to cold turkey it if you're fucking shaking. You're gonna have maybe, like I did, have a seizure. Could die. I think benzos and alcohol are two that'll kill you. Withdrawal will kill you. So don't fuck around. If you're like really bad in it, I went to detox. That's what I did. Um, More often than not, it is imperative that a man's brain be cleared before he is approached, as he has then a better chance of understanding and accepting what we have to offer. Okay, yeah. So if someone came to me with this, when I walked out of that hospital that night, I would have been like, fuck off. What are you, a goddamn, you know what I mean? Like, what are we? Get out of here. I'm not joining your cult, I would have been really not interested at that point. So what it's saying is, yeah, we favor hospitalization, clear your mind, get the physical withdrawal out of the way. And this would apply for anything too. I mean, opiates, whatever it is, like if you're in withdrawal, um, yeah, we're not open to fucking new ideas most of the time at that point. So hospitalization, clear your mind, get kind of feeling a little bit better, and then maybe go talk to the guy or gal. Okay, so the doctor writes, the subject presented in this book seems to me to be of paramount importance to those afflicted with alcoholic addiction. I say this after many years' experience as medical director of one of the oldest hospitals in the country treating alcoholic and drug addiction. There was, therefore, a sense of real satisfaction when I was asked to contribute a few words on the subject, which is covered in such masterly detail in these pages. We doctors have realized for a long time that some form of moral psychology was of urgent importance to alcoholics, but its application presented difficulties beyond our conception. With our ultra modern standards, our scientific approach to everything, we are perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good that lie outside our synthetic knowledge. So that's a lot right there. Okay, so the doctor is saying the subject. So the doctor is telling you the subject presented in this book. Okay, basically first 164 personal stories in the back. Alcoholism, what it was like, what happened, what it's like now, the steps we take to relieve ourselves of the mental obsession. Okay. So that's the subject presented in this book. Seems to me to be of paramount importance to those afflicted with alcoholic addiction. Okay. Paramount importance. The most important, perhaps, right? This information here. I say this, now the doctor qualifies himself. He says, I say this after many years' experience as medical director of, up there, maybe the uppest there, I don't know, right? Of one of the oldest hospitals in the country treating alcoholic and drug addiction. So Silkworth's like specialty was treating alcoholics and addicts in the 20s, 30s, There was therefore a sense of real satisfaction. For years he did this. Years, decades maybe. Okay. What does it say? I think when was Silky born? Silky 1873 in Brooklyn. So 73, 83, 93, 03, 13, 23, 33, right? If I did the math right. So he was like 60 ish around this time. So he graduated from Bellevue Hospital Medical College in 1890, dude. 73, 83. So he was 17 when he graduated. Wow, dude. So he was 17 when he graduated. 73, 83. No, 93. Yeah, 17, right? Whatever. Now that I'm like, it's like numbers suck. Okay. Young guy, 1890s, got into medical, whatever he was doing. He was a doctor. He eventually became associated with Towns Hospital, which specialized in treating alcoholic and drug addiction during the early 20th century. So probably 15, 20 years. 1890s. Yeah. I don't know when he started at Towns Hospital, but early 20th century. So I say this after many years' experience as medical director of one of the oldest hospitals in the country treating alcohol and drug addiction. There was, therefore, a real sense of satisfaction when I was asked to contribute a few words on the subject, which is covered in such masterly detail in these pages. So the doctor, who spent decades of his medical life, waking hours, treating alcoholics and addicts, he's saying, this fucking book, dude, is masterful. It's a huge compliment from a guy that really knows what he's talking about. We doctors have realized for a long time that some form of moral psychology, so like change your behaviors, change your patterns, break your habits, replace with new habits, like that type of kind of traditional, whatever it would be, whatever they call it now, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, whatever, right? Whatever thing it's called, who cares, right? Moral psychology. This is wrong. When this happens. So if I do this, then that. So I shouldn't or should avoid this behavior. So instead of going here every day after work at 4 p.m., I will instead join a Bible study or I'll go whatever, right? Volunteer at the local XYZ. Like I won't go to the bar. So it's like moral psychology. It's like, yeah, change this and understand why, if you do this, bad things happen. So yes, that's needed. Okay. Um, they long time doctors realized for a long time that some form of moral psychology was of urgent importance, but its application presented difficulties beyond our conception. Like, yeah, you can sit and tell a guy and he fully understands. Yeah, when I drink, bad shit happens. When I drink this, I get arrested. When I drink, yeah, my wife wants to leave me. I get violent. I get whatever. I understand that. But there was like a lapse, there was a gap into like, then why do you keep drinking? So its application presented difficulties beyond our conception. What with our ultra modern standards in 1930 something, out which was modern for them, our scientific approach to everything. So even in the 30s, like we had gotten away from, science started to become king, pharmaceutical became king. Um, we are perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good. That's a very, the powers of good. It's not capitalized, but it kind of implies like spirituality, something, right? Perhaps we are not well equipped to apply the powers of good that lie outside our synthetic knowledge. Okay. Many years ago, one of the leading contributors to this book came under our care in this hospital. And while here, he acquired some ideas which he put into practical application at once. Not next week, not tomorrow. He acquired some ideas which he put into practical application at once. Later, he requested the privilege of being allowed to tell his story to other patients here, and with some misgiving, we consented. So Bill came back. He was like, "Hey, you got to let me talk to these alcoholics." And they're like, "Bro, you're just a Joe Schmo stockbroker off the street with like fucking 2 weeks sober, or whatever it was, 6 months. What do you? All right, give it a shot. You know what I mean? Like fucking can't hurt, basically. Excuse all the, maybe I'm a little too profanity today. I'll try to tone it down a little bit. We consented. These cases, the cases we have followed through have been most interesting. So again, interesting. In fact, many of them are amazing. The unselfishness of these men as we have come to know them, the entire absence of profit motive, and their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in this alcoholic field. They believe in themselves and still more in the power, which capital P, power. So we're getting a little bit more something spiritual, and still more in the power that which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death. So this is the doctor saying Bill came back, worked with some guys, and holy shit, it's amazing. And here's how why it's amazing. This is what he says. The unselfishness of these men as we have come to know them. The entire absence of profit motive. They're not in it for any money whatsoever. Just saying, just saying. A lot of places may be doing a lot of good and they kind of still go, hey, but we need your money. Okay. The entire absence of profit motive and their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in this alcoholic field. They believe in themselves, so they have some confidence in what they're doing, and still more in the power, capital P, which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death. So, little hint there again, something spiritual, not materialistic, something, the capital P, whatever that is, that pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death. Of course, an alcoholic ought to be freed from his physical craving for liquor, and this often requires a definite hospital procedure before psychological measures can be of maximum benefit. So that's what I was talking about before. Some detox, like maybe medical help through the detox is fine. Cold turkey isn't a great idea for alcohol. We believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcoholic on these chronic alcohol, or we do it again. We believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all. And once having formed the habit and found they cannot break it, once having lost their self confidence, their reliance upon things human, their problems pile up on them and become astonishingly difficult to solve. Okay, so we believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy. Okay. That the phenomenon, which is like, what is that? Why? Why? Okay, phenomenon. Don't even really know where it comes from or why they have it, but it's there. It's a phenomenon. It's there. We can see it. That the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class, alcoholics, and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. Average temperate drinker. So like the people that can go out and have a glass of wine with dinner, or the people that drink half a beer and go, "Oh, no, I'm sleepy," whatever, okay? They do not react to alcohol the way an alcoholic does. Their body is different. These allergic types can never safely, keyword, use alcohol in any form at all. Wine, beer, liquor, whatever, liqueur, totally watered down tequila with gallons of juice in it, barely any tequila at all. You can, even, I would even say, non-alcoholic beer. It's got like 0.05% alcohol and it tastes like beer. I don't know why you're going to torture yourself. You know what I mean? I don't know why you're going to do that to yourself. Non-alcoholic beers for non-alcoholics. That's what I was told. And then I'm not, it's like, why would I want to drink? I don't know. It just seems a little torturous to me. So I've never done it. Um, but there's 0.05% alcohol in there. It's not completely zero alcohol. Um, and then saying once they have formed the habit, so it's like it's a invisible line. It's not imaginary because it's real. It's a line that we cross. And I think maybe some people are genetically predisposed. Maybe other people have no genetic predisposition. But in theory, if you drank enough, it's like your body almost kind of adapts to survive with all the alcohol, and you kind of flip, your body changes and then you begin to respond. Your body's like, oh, we're going to drink this all day every day, we must need it to survive, so now I'm going to crave it for you. I'm going to remind you that you need to drink this, right? Now, I'm not a doctor. That's always how I've thought about it. It's like, maybe I wasn't born an alcoholic, but I drank myself past that line to where something, maybe I was born an alcoholic. I don't know, right? Or I had all the seeds of alcoholism, but had I never had a drop of alcohol in my life, there's no way I can be an alcoholic. I may have all like the tendencies or whatever, the personality characteristics that kind of would contribute to abusive behavior, like obsessive behaviors, compulsive behaviors. But if I never drank alcohol, I can't be an alcoholic. um so, and some people maybe have, nobody in their family for generations had alcoholism, but something traumatic happens or something that would fuel them to drink huge excessive amounts over a period of time, and their body might adapt and say, well, I guess we need this to survive, so now I'm going to remind you need it to survive when you don't. It's alcohol. Okay. So again, that's just how I've internalized these thoughts to help it make sense to me, and maybe they make sense to you. I don't know, but there's definitely a craving phenomenon, and it's limited to alcoholics. So when my wife has a beer at dinner, her body, it's like as if I drank chocolate milk. Like I don't go, oh, like I need chocolate milk. And then I go home and all I'm thinking about is chocolate milk for the next 7 days until I can have chocolate milk again. To her, a beer is like chocolate milk, orange juice, anything other kind of food. It's like, yeah. Okay. So then it says, so we've said, once having formed the habit, found they cannot break it. So they tried to stop unsuccessfully. So I formed a habit of drinking. I tried to stop, couldn't stay stopped, which contributes to having then losing my self confidence, my reliance upon things human, my wife, my mom, my friends, my kids, my boss. Everybody's like, please stop. Please stop. Like, so my reliance upon things human. I'm going to leave you if you don't stop. Like, that doesn't work either. So my reliance upon things human doesn't work anymore. A doctor is telling me my liver's failing doesn't work. A judge sentencing me to jail doesn't work. Okay. Putting one of those blowy tests on my car so it starts doesn't, human. Reliance upon human things human doesn't work. Okay. Their problems pile up on them and become astonishingly difficult to solve. So now I've got all these other just worldly problems as a result of this continuous behavior. On top of that, I can't go 6 hours, 4 hours without a drink because I start shaking. I start fucking convulsing. I have a seizure. So I have to drink now. If you're at that point, I have to drink to so I can go to work. I have to get through the day. I have to pay the bills. So all these things start to pile up and become astonishingly difficult to solve. And then the next paragraph is another kind of famous catch line that you hear a lot. Frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. The message which can interest and hold these alcoholic people must have depth and weight. In nearly all cases, their ideals must be grounded in a power greater than themselves if they are to recreate their lives. So, frothy emotional appeal, which I just kind of gave you examples of: the boss, the wife, the kids, the husband, the sister, the mother, the friend, the dog looking at you weird, and they're looking at you weird. Fucking don't look at me like that. Look. Stop looking at. Go lay down, because the dog knows even. Okay, that something's not right. Senses your energy, your fear and panic. It knows. The dog, your mom, nobody. Human emotional appeal doesn't work if you're an alcoholic. People begging you, dude, can't do it. Just isn't powerful enough to overcome the phenomenon of craving and the mental obsession. And if dude. That's the thing. Like, even if you're like, I'm new here and I don't really want to say I'm an alcoholic, but I've definitely had problems. I got a DUI, XYZ, great, 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 bad, 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 whatever. And now I'm here. I'm sitting in this meeting. But I don't want to admit I'm an alcoholic. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to. But when you read this part and you quietly just think about it, does any of this resonate with you? Did people beg you to stop? Did you beg yourself to stop and you just couldn't stop? Something bigger is going on that human things can't pierce, it can't penetrate, it can't get in there. At some point, we crossed the line and we are now over here. over here in some alcoholic state where if I, let's say I do stop for a few days to kind of just get it together. And I'm like what they call white knuckling it, just holding on for dear life, like, oh, just got to get to Friday so I can prove to everybody I don't have a problem. But all you're thinking about from Monday to Friday is drink, drink. When can I have a drink? When can? Oh God, I wish I could have a drink. Man, it'd be nice to have a drink. Wish I could- You know. Well, on Friday, I'll tell you, and I'm only going to have one or two on Friday because by then I'm going to show everybody that I've got a control on this, right? And then Friday comes, you crack a beer or whatever, and then who knows what happens? You wake up Saturday, like under the pool deck. You're like, what the fuck? You know, people are mad at you. Things are broken. What the hell? You know, I mean, that was my experience. I would stop for periods, like little bits, and late teens. I could probably try to like stop for a little bit if something important had to happen. But then when I picked it up again, you know, I wake up with a huge gash on the side of my face. What happened? Well, you passed out completely sideways and took the side view mirror off my car with your face. You need to pay me for that. Well, brother, I don't have any money. I don't have a job. You know what I mean? And the money I do have, I have to spend it on this thing that I can't stop doing, right? So that's a true story. I took my buddy's rear view mirror, side view mirror off his car with my face. Woke up the next morning, in my bed, luckily, but I was like, oh my Lord, the sheet was like sticking to my face because my face was all bloody. I was like, what the hell, dude? And I called my friend and he goes, bro, that's going to be like whatever it was back then, $100, 300, whatever, you know? It's like, shit, I don't remember that at all. Frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices, man. You know, crash cars, flip cars, destroy things, put other people at risk, endanger other people, endanger yourself, say things you would never say. Doesn't do the trick, man. Okay, so if any feel that as psychiatrists directing a hospital for alcoholics, we appear somewhat sentimental, let them stand with us a while on the firing line. See the tragedies, the despairing wives, the little children. Let the solving of these problems become a part of their daily work and even of their sleeping moments. And the most cynical will not wonder that we have accepted and encouraged this movement. We feel after many years of experience that we have found nothing which has contributed more to the rehabilitation of these men and women than the altruistic movement now growing up among them. So the doctor's saying, if you're skeptical, do my job for decades where I see the despairing families and these people just cannot get their lives together because of alcohol or addiction. We feel after many years' experience that we have found nothing which has contributed more to the rehabilitation of these men and women than the altruistic movement, which has became known as AA, now growing up among them. Okay. And this was written for the first edition and is unchanged. So this is about 1938, 1939. Okay. Men and women. Okay, so now it starts to really break this down. Okay. Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol, right? If we didn't like the effect, we wouldn't do it. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it is injurious, hurts them, they cannot, after a time, differentiate the true from the false. To them, their alcoholic life seems the only normal one. They are restless, irritable, and discontented until they can again experience the sense of ease and comfort. Ease and comfort that comes at once by taking a few drinks. drinks which they see others taking with impunity. Impunity, no harm, no bad consequences. Oh, they see those guys drinking over there, they drink and they're fine. Why can't I? Okay. The difference is, I don't think that like normal people I know that aren't alcoholics, I don't feel like they're restless, irritable, and discontented unless they can again experience the sense of ease and comfort, which comes at once by taking a few drinks. Like some people are restless, irritable, and discontented, and they go work out, they go for a run, they cook a nice meal, they go out to dinner, they go to church, they talk with some friends, they go volunteer, they walk the dog, they pray, they journal, right? Like a lot of people are restless, irritable, and discontent at times in their life. What it's saying here is that's kind of like our base state until we can again experience the ease and comfort that comes at once by taking a few drinks. Drinks that we see other people drinking with no problem. So why can't, what the, you know, they're fine. What the hell's wrong with me then, right? But I need that drink to feel the ease and comfort, to relax, to be okay. After they have succumbed to the desire again, as so many do, and the phenomenon of craving develops, they pass through the well-known stages of a spree, emerging remorseful with a firm resolution not to drink again. Right? Have we ever done that? So I go a period, a bit, a day, a two, three, four, a week, a month, a year, no drinking, no program, just no drinking. And then after I have succumbed to the desire again, relapse, as so many do, the phenomenon of craving develops with the first drink. I pass through the well known stages of a spree, right? So, whatever that is, a few days, a few weeks, or maybe months, for some people, years, and then emerging remorseful with a firm resolution not to drink again. This is repeated over and over. And unless this person can experience an entire psychic change, there is very little hope of his recovery. On the other hand, and strange as this may seem to those who do not understand, once a psychic change has occurred, so note that psychic change. So he says that entire psychic change. I got to, okay, and experience an entire psychic change. What does that even mean? I don't know. Okay, so table that. On the other hand, and strange as this may seem to those who don't understand, once a psychic change, there it is again, once a psychic change has occurred, the very same person who seemed doomed, who had so many problems he despaired of ever solving them, suddenly finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol, his desire for alcohol. It doesn't say he's able to control his drinking. Okay, so suddenly finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol, the only effort necessary being that required to follow a few simple rules. Now, this is coming from the doctor again, remember. So he's calling them rules, but make a mental note there. Like in your book, you could even write, like, maybe steps, suggestions. Okay. Men have cried out to me in sincere and despairing appeal, Doctor, I cannot go on like this. I have everything to live for. I must stop, but I cannot. You must help me. Faced with this problem, if a doctor is honest with himself, he must sometimes feel his own inadequacy. Although he gives all that is in him, it often is not enough. One feels that something more than human power is needed to produce the essential psychic change. Okay. more than human power, psychic change, an entire psychic change. So remember, he's referring to the capital P power that pulls alcoholics back from the gates of death. Okay. He talks about the spiritual and altruistic movement growing up among them. Okay. Altruism is like the greater good, right? Selfless for the great, for the whole, greater good. So there's these little nuggets that's talking about some kind of spiritual thing. They're not saying, hey, we got a pill for this, you know? They're saying there's some stuff we're going to do that's going to produce a change in how your whole psychic system, your whole mind system works or operates. So unless they can experience, and he's saying they're doomed unless they can experience an entire psychic change. Unless this person can experience an entire psychic change, there is very little hope for his recovery. But once the psychic change has occurred, the very same person who seemed doomed finds himself, suddenly finds himself easily able to control the desire to drink. And the only effort necessary being that required to follow a few simple rules or suggestions or steps, whatever, you know, because they say rules are made to be broken, right? Like rules can, you can break a rule, you can't break a suggestion. It was just a suggestion, you know, the steps, like, you can't break the step. You just take it or don't. Take a step or don't. Stay there then. There's steps. You can use the steps if you want, or stay there. It's okay. So it's totally open. It's all about, so it's weird. We have no self-will when it comes to alcohol in the beginning. That's what it's saying. Willpower isn't enough, man. And if you've tried and failed, you know. Okay. But then it's all about like just be willing. We're going to give you some suggestions, some steps to follow. And if you do them, the only requirement necessary is some effort, or the only effort necessary is to just take these suggestions. You'll have, he's saying, you're going to have the entire psychic change we're talking about. And then you're going to be able to easily control the desire for alcohol. You'll be able to see it and it won't even bother you anymore. You won't even think about it, actually, you know? 18 years of sobriety for me, I don't think about it. It's not like, ooh, man, they're drinking. I wish I could, you know. You will have like the occasional, like, hmm, like it's been 18 years. I mean, I was very young when I came in. Maybe I kind of overreacted, you know. But when I really go through this and I think about it, I I met this criteria at a very young age. From the first time I drank, from the first time I experienced drunkenness, I experienced these things: the mental obsession, the phenomenon of craving. And as I drank more heavily in my late teens and then very early 20s, I drank like I had access to it. I had the kind of independence to do what I wanted. It's not like I was living at home with my mom or my dad. Like I had independence and I had access to alcohol and I made the choice like this shit makes my life easier to deal with because I don't like my life and I'm going to drink every day. And then when I kind of realized, well, I probably shouldn't drink every day, I was like going to class and I was starting to feel like the jitteriness inside of me, and I was like, "Oh, that kind of," and I didn't know for sure, but I was like, "This kind of, I sort of know what this is." So on my way to class, which at the time I took like a train all the way into the city to go to a school because I didn't live on campus. Crazy long, weird story, but I stopped off in Chinatown in Washington, D.C. And I walked into a liquor store with a fake ID. I showed him this totally obviously not me fake ID. And he was like, What do you want? I did, I put a bottle on the counter. I paid for it and I walked out. Okay, there's my spot. 19 years old, maybe 18, 19 years old. There it is. There's my hookup right there. The Chinatown. So I'd have to like go way out of my way all the time to go to Chinatown. Right. But I made that decision. I'm drinking every day because it makes me. First, it was because I'm happy to do all this shit I don't want to do when I'm drinking. So that was the first part of it, you know. And then it was when I don't do this, I start to royal rumble in my whole body. I can't go through a whole day like that. Like that's torture. So I would just drink. I know how to stop this, and that's what I did. And then, progressed that 3 years. When I tried to stop, sincerely one day, my friend who I was living with said, "Just don't drink today, dude. We'll go to the beach, we'll have fun, we'll do shit. Like, just come with me, don't drink today." And I was like, "All right, man." He made such a big deal out of it. I was like, "All right." I had a seizure, you know, woke up in an ambulance, went to the hospital. I told that story already, but so there it was. It was like, oh, if I don't drink, now if I don't drink, really bad shit, scary shit you know, hospitalization type shit happens. I'm not just like uncomfortable. I'm like hospitalized. All right. So I was like, okay, well, and that went on for a little while longer. And it was like, all right, this obviously isn't going to work. So I got to do something. I got to go to treatment, whatever that meant at the time. I said, okay, I got to go to rehab or something. And my aunt and my dad, and, I said, I need to do this. And they were all kind of like, finally, dude. We've known this for a while. But and I went and I did detox 3 or 4 days or something, went to treatment, did 96 days treatment. And I shook like this for the first week in treatment because I only did like 4 days of detox, which like got me through. I'm not going to probably have a seizure, but definitely wasn't feeling good. And being in a safe environment for me, I mean, if I hadn't been in a institution, I would have drank because like my body needed it. So when I'm now and I go, well, maybe I could have a drink. I'm much older and wiser now. It has nothing to do with it. It truly has nothing to do with it. My older, wiser, richer, smarter, poorer, stronger, faster, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Uh, I reacted a certain way to alcohol. And if I just take a moment and think back and I go back and I read some of this stuff and I go, what was it? Okay, yeah, 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 yeah. It's like, yeah, I reacted this way to alcohol. This was me. And now I'm here, right? I did some things. I guess I had a psychic change. And now I'm able to control my desire, which I don't really have one. The life that happened as a result of the steps is so much better than whatever the hell alcohol is going to give me. Minutes, hours, a day, whatever. Like what is it going to give me compared to what I have in my life today? You know? Peace of mind. I can just lay down and go to sleep at night when I want to, I don't fight with people. I don't have trauma and drama and chaos and turmoil in my life. If something bad happens or some emergency occurs, I'm fully able to deal with it. Like, what do I need to do? Get on a plane? Okay. You know, where do I need to be? Where do I need to go? What do I need to do? I'll be there. And I have 100% confidence in that. Not because I'm fucking awesome, but because this shit is awesome. And it showed me how to be that person and like what to do to be that person. And then once I started kind of being that person, I was like, wow, this is way better than people thinking I'm like shady and might steal their shit or unpredictable, like what's he going to do today? What's he going to do tonight? Is he going to show up? Is he not? Is he going to be drunk? Is he going to black out and take the side view mirror off my car with his face? Is he going to fight his friends in a blackout and get his ass beat again? Like we don't want to. And then I drive him home. I just beat Devin's ass and had to drive him home and drop him off on his porch. You know, I don't like that. I mean, wasn't really fun. There were fun times in there. There were exciting moments in there, but the overall thing was bleak and sad. And I haven't had any of that for 18 years. Like literally almost like no physical altercations and minimal emotional fights, like arguments, beefs. I don't have that shit. Drama. I don't have it. It's not in my life. Entire psychic change happened. I did these things. I followed these rules, as Dr. Silkworth calls them. And, let's see, one, two. So we're like kind of halfway through this. And I thought this might be a two-parter, you know. Um, all right. Yeah. So, and then it kind of actually breaks down. It's interesting, but it like breaks down types of drinkers. So, um, I encourage anyone that happens to stumble upon this to then, either read along. I know I talk a lot. I'll try to, whatever that is. It is what it is, But and then go back and reread it, highlight certain things that like stick out to you, right? Like don't highlight everything, right? But like certain things that stick out to you that you want to remember, make a little note in the margin, maybe highlight a couple words. Like I have entire psychic change highlighted. Um, and then so that if I'm just kind of going like, okay, oh yeah, yeah, this entire, jumps out at me a little bit. I have rules circled because that's kind of alluding to step work, the program of recovery. Okay. And yeah, so this is part one, doctor's opinion. Part two. Part two at some point tomorrow. All right. Because I'm really trying to do this on a daily thing, keep it consistent. Because this actually is good for me, you know? It's really good for me. And like two or three of you. But anyway, whatever. That's not the point. The point is put it out there into the world and maybe it's good for something, right? Who knows? But anyway, see you tomorrow.